All right, we've had an amazing 2 days. This is the third day on the Power of Your Plate conference, discussing what are the opportunities that are there. And the key thing here is about increasing health, nutrition, and also wealth. But how do you go about that? And we had a very interesting keynote speech by the former Prime Minister. Na aliguzia jambo la muhimu sana na akasema kwamba kukiwa na utashi wa kisiasa tutaendelea mbele. If there is political goodwill, then we can go so far. From the feel of the room I got is that we are going to get political goodwill. Kazi yetu sasa ni ile, how now are we going to involve all stakeholders? And one of the key stakeholders is the youth. The average age of a Kenyan farmer is 60 years. I'm not sure about Tanzania and other countries. But we have an aging population of farmers who are going to hang their boots in a few years to come. My concern is what knowledge has been transferred from the older generation of farmers to this young new generation of farmers that are rearing to go. They really want to farm. What knowledge are we passing down to them? Now, one of the awareness, and I want to have a panel here in a few minutes, we're going to be discussing, we want to talk about how do we tell a young person to start consuming traditional vegetables. What are the innovative ways? What campaigns are we going to have to ensure that mtoto wa miaka 5, miaka 2, miaka 18 anafahamu umuhimu wa the traditional African vegetables? So the panel that is going to come here, we'll be discussing that in great detail. Something else is rural and urban malnutrition. We talk about malnutrition, and the first thing we think about is people in the villages don't have access to the TAVs. However, even people living in the urban centers are also suffering from urban malnutrition. Kuita upungufu wa madini chuma. All right, there's a lot of mineral deficiency among city dwellers. So how again do we involve not only the rural farmers, but also the peri-urban and peri-urban farmers to start adopting the planting of traditional African vegetables? The role of MFIs and banks. I asked the other day, if you're a banker, can you bank on farmers? Can you fund someone who says, I want to get into value addition of traditional African vegetables? If I wanted to get a loan to buy a drip irrigation system or a dam liner, can you fund these young people? And in the high panel they're going to be having after the youth panel, we'll be having bankers discussing that issue at length. So these are some of the issues that I just want to point out. What's the involvement of women? Women for the longest time have been perceived as their work is just to play the supporting role, supporting cast. In this movie called Agriculture. How can we have them play the leading role? And we're also going to have women discussing those issues at length. What is their experience? Young ladies who are not only in production, but they're also in value addition. So without much further ado, I'm going to invite our moderator for this session, none other than the chairman of Kanarava Group, Kenya, Mr. Ronald Diang'a. Begin makofi.
Thank you very much, my brother Caleb, for that very wonderful, introduction, but also just laying the ground for the discussions that we want to have. My name is Ronald Diang'a, and I just want us to have a natural conversation. I know most of you, of course, in the words of the former Prime Minister, and in my experience, have had a very long time sitting in this classroom and discussing and understanding the very hard facts and the scientific posters that we've seen before. But we want to bring it down to the level that we want to relate with, and then looking at the posterity, post-2045, not only bring up a nutritious people, but also we can create and put money in the pocket of our young people and even of the older generation. So to help us understand this, I would like the technical team, thank you. Please take me to the next slide. Next. Good. What can you see? I want to see your intelligence for a minute just before I bring the panel up. Somebody? All of us have eaten lunch. What can you see, my brother?
I see a mask.
He sees a mask. Wonderful. What else can someone see? Yes?
The famous chapati in sukuma wiki, I guess, some veggies.
The famous chapati and sukuma wiki. If you come to Nairobi, and I was discussing this with Ralph over tea break, if I go to a restaurant, you'll find me having my managu and chapati. Anytime. Not because it's cheap, but because I love it. But maybe somebody to tell me, what do you understand? What do you know about managu? I know. Oh, managu is Caleb.
African nightshade.
Spider plant, is it?
Yeah?
Yeah?
Ni African nightshade.
African nightshade. Sasa
Mnavu.
tunaelewana?
Aha.
Mnafu. Right. What do you understand about mnafu? I know most of you are scientists. You have done research in this area. What do you know about mnafu? It's so bitter. Somebody says so. Any other person? Any benefits that it has? Somebody? Does it have any benefit? It's just too bitter. Yes, Raf, you look like you want to say something so badly. It's full of micronutrients. Probably that's the reason why I like it. Ask me how I prepare it. I boil it for 2 to 5 minutes. I add a little bit of cream. I think all of us know cream. Yeah? Add a little bit of cream to taste. That's how I prepare my managu. Anyway, to help us understand this topic, these are the slides. Interestingly, this is Ronald having his managu in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. While we have somebody also sending traditional African vegetables to the Europe market. And this is actually in the United States of America. And so there are opportunities that are presenting themselves across the value chain that are really offering an opportunity for the young people and women to be able to trade, but most importantly, to be able to also feed generations. Our topic for today, take me to the next slide, please. We want to focus on youth for enthusiasm and enterprise, green shoots to big businesses. We want to see how do we use the traditional African vegetables to be able to grow businesses that are going to bring wealth to our young people and women. And what we will look to do is to provide concrete steps that are going to help us to close the loops or fill the gaps that are existing, like some of which, of course, this conference has been able to identify, so that then we can have a systematic approach to build the future of traditional African vegetable. Allow me now take this time to welcome my team of, my able power panel, and I will start with Glory. Glory is from Morogoro, Tanzania, and you'll hear from her shortly. Thank you. She's also blessed to be, there are 2 of them in the room as she's walking. Please take your seat. Glory will be followed by Kenneth Chepkwony from Kenya. Kenneth will be followed by Jannette Toroitich from Kenya. And then lastly, we'll have Erick Bosire, also from Kenya. Please bring me back my slide. Next slide, please. Good. Thank you. As they're being wired to have their microphones on, 2021, I think, is the year of our Lord, if you ask me, for 3 reasons. On this, maybe I might give the $100 that Caleb was talking about. Who can tell me any reason why 2021 is a special year for the traditional African vegetables? Yes? Thank you. That's one reason. Please, a round of applause for him. 2021 is the International Year for Fruits and Vegetables. The second reason, there is a very important event coming in September. Yes. Because this summit was held in this day, and probably because it was held also, in Arusha. But let me give you the right answer. 2021, there is going to be a very important summit by the United Nations called United Nations Food Summit. How many of us have heard about that? That's a very important summit because it's going to take the next course of action that the food system industry is going to take moving forward. This one, I must come to Nadine and tell me, what is the third reason? What is the year 2021 for? Probably for you at World Veg.
So we are going to have so many field visits organized to show our activities. And we've also added fruits and herbs to indigenous vegetables, and we are going to showcase our activities this year.
Thank you. World Veg is going to showcase most of its activities. Maybe I come to Daktari. When was World Veg established?
1971, sir.
Thank you. Imekuwa ni kama interview leo, lakini samahani. 1971, which means it's going to celebrate how many years? 50 years. Is that not something to clap for? Thank you very much. Now bring me back to my slide kindly. Jannette, I see a very beautiful photo right behind us, and of course the audience can be able to see. Please describe yourself using this photo.
Good afternoon. Give it down.
Good afternoon.
Just go ahead, please. But bring it close to you. Yeah.
My name is Jannette Toroitich. I come from Uasin Gishu County in Kenya. At that picture, I'm in my farm. That is at the coffee farm. And in between coffees, you also do beans and a lot of other crops. My journey, okay, I am a farmer. Most times I have to really convince people that I am a farmer. After I meet people, I have to, and I tell you I am a farmer, people would say no way. So most times I have to use pictures to tell them, yes, I am a farmer, and it's really working for me. My journey as a farmer started with traditional African vegetables. After university, we were at home, and since my parents are old, my dad is 80 and my mom is 60, so I figured out I need to find a way for them to eat healthy for their health. Then I was also experiencing some health conditions with blood deficiencies. So most times I was in and out of hospital, or I couldn't really work so well because of those blackouts, and I figured out if I have to save my health and my family, it's by eating healthy. So I saw I started doing African black nightshade and amaranth in 2018 in August. I planted 2 points. 2 points is almost half an acre. And the first thing I was wondering is what happens if people do not buy this after my family has already had our share. I had to sell some. And my biggest scare was people not buying, and I would have to the rest would have to go to waste or would have to eat that all the time. You get the fear of starting a business.
Thank you very much, Jannette, for that introduction. I love your story because I think the first thing I picked on is when you must convince people that you're a farmer. And the narrative that we want to drive in Africa is that even young people, as beautiful as she is, can be farmers. Clap for that. And the conversation that we want African women to have is that yes, our parents and our fathers might be owning land, but we must still engage in what? In agriculture, but not only in agriculture, but engage in agriculture as a what? As a business. And that's why we're looking at ways and steps that are going to help us to grow these green shoots into big enterprises. Next slide, please. Erick, kindly share with us where was this and tell us what you do in the context of this photo.
Can you hear me? Yeah? So my name is Erick Ochonga. I work with a company called Irri-Hub KA. It's an irrigation company based in Kenya. And what we do is we provide irrigation technologies for smallholder farmers. And when we talk of irrigation technology, is a wide range from drip irrigation system, from the water harvesting technologies to mulching technology and all that. So that photo, that is me it's a practical day for me when I'm in the field, helping farmers setting up irrigation systems, getting to understand how they're doing with their yields and all that.
Thank you very much. Of course, I mean, in light of the biggest risk multiplier, that is climate change, we must, of course, look at how do we optimally produce in that wake, but also looking at the various different climate smart agricultural technologies that are going to help our farmers from the small acres that they have to produce optimally. Thank you very much, Erick Ochonga. Take me to the next slide, please. Glory. There is a very beautiful photo of a child, and I can see she's reading. Please share with us what is happening in this photo.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Am I heard?
Yeah.
My name is Glory Ruben Daniel. I'm from Morogoro, Tanzania, from Kinshaga group of companies. That photo, that kid, you know, kids don't like vegetables. Most of us here are elders, so we have children, so we know. But if you make some bite maybe with vegetables, with fruits, I'm sure they're going to take them. That's why we deal with post-harvest loss. Our company is a food processing company, but we are doing drying also. Then we have some products there. We have the biscuits of banana. We have the mang beans, choroko. We have the ginger powder. We have the rosemary, dried rosemary. Now, the aim of starting this was, the first thing was to reduce post-harvest loss, but the second thing is malnutrition problem. That is kids under 15. How do you deal with them? You have to think of something to help them take at least a little bit of nutrient from the vegetables or the fruits. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very elaborate introduction about what Kinshaga Foods does. And I want to agree with you. I mean, it's very important to look at what are the innovative ways that we are going to make sure the consumption of traditional African vegetables is uptaken. And not more important so, that we also have to look at how do we reduce the losses that we have to incur because of probably poor market prices or probably flooding at the market. So of course, one of the ways of doing that is through value addition, which is the area that you work in. Thank you very much for that. Kindly take me to the next slide. Kenneth Chepkwony. I see a bicycle. I see something that looks like a farm. I don't know whether you're riding in a farm or what is happening in this photo.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Kenneth Chepkwony, and I wear two hats. On one side, I'm Ronald's colleague at Kanarava Group, and in charge of our farmer outreach program. And we actually do it through cycling. It's called Bike to Farm. On the other hand, I'm also organizing secretary for an initiative called Mama Cycling, which is a new initiative that was founded by Kenya's second lady. It aims to use cycling to approach the SDGs. So in this particular photo, if you can bring it back, I had visited a farmer in Kiambu County in Kenya. He's called Simon. The young man is 28 years old, a Bachelor of Arts graduate who grows exotic vegetables, as you can see. And it speaks to one of the challenges that I think was mentioned yesterday in some of the presentations about the competition for land use. So in this photo, you cannot see any traditional African vegetables. That's because he only plants them during the rainy season. So, and I think the narrative that we need to push for moving forward is that as people are doing these traditional African vegetables, they also need to be climate smart about it, using the example that we have here, because it doesn't have to be during the rainy seasons.
Thank you very much. How many are cyclists? Or how many know how to cycle? Let me see. Ralph, maybe let me come to you. Why do you cycle? For fun, for exercise? Exercise, energy, fresh air. Here we have a very innovative way of how to use cycling to be able to what? Impact on the SDGs. I think I would want to listen more into that and see if that is one of the ways that we can explore to see how we can enrich the conversation around traditional African vegetables. Let me come back to you, Kenneth. You have had very interesting and insightful presentations from our scholars who've spoken before. And the question that goes to my mind as I look at this very important and crucial information in supporting traditional African vegetables, I don't know where you sit as a young person, of course, engaged in this sector and industry. Do you believe that this particular scientific presentations like they've made before, or ideas and information, have reached you as a person interacting with people like the one that you just showed us? Is there a disconnect between this? Or why is it that we have this beautiful, information preserved here, yet we still have the traditional African vegetable value chain underdeveloped? What would be the reason? And how would you, in your position, make sure that this information can cascade down to the farmers like the one you've shared with us?
Thank you very much. I can use my own example, my personal example. I am a young man, single, and truth of the matter, if I'm going to the market to buy vegetables, I look for the easiest route. That is, I'll most likely go for, say, sukuma wiki, because it's, according to me, it's easy to prepare it, rather than go for managu, for example. I have no idea how to actually go about it. And I think we were having this conversation outside, and there was a joke about it that you might end up, if you don't know how to prepare it, because there's a clear way of doing it, which, like myself, I ate traditional African vegetables that were prepared by my grandmother. So if I try and do it the modern way, grilling it, for example, I think I'll end up with burnt offering or something. So the biggest elephant in the room here is awareness. that we need to first of all, we need to package traditional African vegetables and the entire commercialization around it to be not just profitable, but also trendy for the youth. So I think we can use innovative ways of approaching it. And one example that I can pick also from my personal example is the farm experiences that we usually have in Kenya. I think Ronald, you're familiar with that, and Jannette and Erick. So in Kenya, we have a group of young people that are in the agribusiness space. And once in a while, we usually organize potlucks, or we meet at, I think the last time we met at Karuga's farm, and we shared information about this and that. So I think through such events, and they don't need to be too serious. They need to be very, let's say, youth-centric. They need to speak the language of the youth.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. I think I've picked one of the most important pillars that we're looking at is awareness. And awareness, of course, we have to link this research to the farms, because it is at the farms that this transformation need to be done. The transformation might be done on paper and on research, but if it's not linked to the farm, we might still experience the underdevelopment that the sector is going through. I don't know what Karuga can in 30 seconds speak to on awareness. Kenneth has mentioned about the potluck that you organize on your farm. Is that one of the awareness campaigns that we're looking at?
Yes, young people don't want to be told, they want to be shown. So do more of showing. If you have a farm, please showcase. Let people come to your farm, let them see what you're doing, show them how to plant. You can tweet all you want, scientific study, but they need to see. Huu ni mchicha, huu ni mnavu, huu ni nini, wapandwa hivi, wapikwa hivi. The other data will come next. But first, show first. Then you tell them later.
First. So we have identified the importance, of course, of awareness and show first. And I think the Prime Minister former did mention, and I think he put Dr. to task, that they will walk to the various leaders because they want them to also understand, but also experience what it means to be in or engaging in traditional African vegetables. And now I want to bring it back to you, Jannette, and you said a very moving story. I'm sorry I had to cut you short because we don't have a lot of time. But tell me that your experience interacting with the traditional African vegetables, and I know probably you might have had any aspirations to scale your business. How has that experience been in trying to access the various factors of production, finance including?
First of all, let me go back to awareness for a second. Personally, after starting to produce African black nightshade and amaranth, I used my social media to build my market, and that is what helped me. You would think I'm lying to you if I told you on a very good day, I'd make 3,000 shillings. That is the minimum. I took my vegetables from the farm and I took them to town where my parents live, and I made deliveries from house to house to house. There's nobody who has a family or who has kids who wouldn't take vegetables. And that made, I hardly had vegetables going bad after I got them from the farm. I also built my brand as Farm Girl. Apart from Jannette, I have a brand called Farm Girl. And through that, I've been able to mentor youth. Most of them come to me and they ask, hey, I'm very passionate about farming, and what do I do? I need to also make money. And I would tell them, if you really don't know what you want to do, just start with vegetables and start with managu, because there's no way you'd go out of business with managu.
Jannette, please speak to how then do you tell them when they want to scale their businesses? So yourself, what is your experience when you wanted to scale your business? What would you need to scale your business, for instance?
So through this journey after being worried about how am I going to sell these vegetables, then I met the demand. The demand was too much. The demand was too good until I figured out what I really wanted to become. And I had a goal of becoming a modern farmer who will supply, who will meet the market. And that would mean I would use social media. I would do house-to-house deliveries. And what people were asking for most times, because do you know how hectic it is to prepare these traditional African vegetables? The plucking, then the boiling. People want the short way because everyone is too busy now. So I thought, if people can't come to the market to buy vegetables, why can't I go house to house to deliver vegetables? I would also go out of my pocket and get a few, one or two people together to pluck the vegetables. Then I would do house to house deliveries with already made vegetables. And that's what people were buying.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very innovative way of also accessing your market. Because I mean, you must map out your market and know then what is the demand of your market. And of course, with the millennial economy, where this panel belongs to, they understand convenience over anything else. And so if you can provide that at their convenience, they're willing to pay a price for that. Glory, I saw, and you did mention to us, and maybe this would go around in the plenary just to appreciate the work that Glory has done. All of these are products from Kishaga Foods, and we'll share that with you. I just want you to tell me, what do you believe is the place of enterprises as yours, or networks as yours, in driving the development of traditional African vegetables? What place do you have in your value addition business to bring down all the things that we've experienced in this conference to your business so that it can transform the lives of the women and youth who supply you with the raw materials or the traditional African vegetables that you use?
As we said, we deal with value addition. Now, our great role as agribusiness enterprise is creativity and innovation. That's the great role from every youth. You have to be creative. It's either you're in a bank or you are an integrated farmer, you are a local farmer, or maybe you are a student in the university. You have to be innovative or creative to find a way in which we have to reduce these post-harvest losses, or we have to help these farmers make sure that they sell all their products, they don't get lost. Because, for example, if you go to the markets in Tanzania, most of the markets, there's a lot of vegetables that are thrown, a lot of fruits that are thrown. That means when the production is, when the season is good, the production is high. That means there's a lot of vegetables in the market, there's a lot of fruits. The buyers are few. How do you store them? And they are perishable. So the most thing is being creative. That's why we came up with the idea of at least making these biscuits, or if you are doing drying, you need to sort your products. For example, this choroko, they're in the market, but they don't sort them. It's hard buying them and then going home, sorting, washing, and cooking. For bachelors, actually, for women, it's a little bit simple. So it's being creative and innovative in a way that you can brand, you can promote, you can also provide employment to those who can't do it. Or you can also act as a buyer. If you are a value addition person, you can act as a buyer or a customer to the integrated farmers or to local farmers. Or tell them, for example, we are also doing research and we are doing trainings to the local farmers. We did it in Morogoro villages with Taha. We did it in Geita. We did it in Iringa. So we train them on how to dry indirectly with solar dryers. Directly is done with almost every local area, but then the nutrition value that is lost is too high compared with indirect. That's why we came up with the idea of training them. Tell them that solar drying is good than sun drying. Then dry your products so that you can reduce the post-harvest losses. I think I'm clear.
I think all of these discussions are very important to inform the development of traditional African vegetables. And like you can hear, these enterprises or this representation of young people are driving what they believe is going to support and help the work that is done by even the scientists that are presented before. But one important thing, and I want to bring probably this to Erick, is I know in Kenya, there is the Kenya Youth in Agribusiness Strategy 2017-2021 that was developed by the Ministry of Agriculture. Has this spoken to the needs of the young people? Has it addressed the needs of the young people? Have the young people harnessed the opportunities that can be driven through being safeguarded by such kind of strategies? In 30 seconds, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I understand. I understand there are those strategies that were laid out, but it's good I mentioned these. Young people, there are so many things they can do along the agricultural value chain. For instance, for us as a company, what we do is our role is to ensure that farmers are planting all seasons throughout. You know, as long as they have water, they have water, they have the drip irrigation system and all that. Our main job is to ensure that they're able to farm all year round. Strategies this is something I always say, with all these good forums that we have, with all these PowerPoints we have and all that, if we don't get to implement these things, they're not going to work. They're not going to help any of us. So, and this is something that I always challenge the organizers of such events, that let's try and implement some of these policies that we normally put out here. If it's for the youths, and I know a lot of youths have these creative things and these innovative ideas that they're willing to bring on board. Most of the time is the funding bit is one of these things that normally holds them back. Let's try and come up with even innovative financial models for these youths to able to come in and say they have this kind of idea, but as much as they don't have the finances, how can you help them? What are the innovative financial models that we're able to give them so that they're able to push their agenda ahead? So there's many things. As you can see, we're focused on making sure the farmer is able to produce. We have a consulting team here that is able to ensure that the farmer produces the right quality of produce that is needed. We have the value addition bit of it. There's so much that you can do. You still have people that can do the solar tires and that. Let's get policies implemented for the young guys to come up and rise to the occasion.
Thank you very much. I want to just pick it on your very last breath, and you spoke very eloquently about finance and funding. And I know the Kanarava group did a dinner last year, but one, and they were focusing on innovative financial models. And one of the lessons and learnings that we learned is there are various innovative ways that we can harness and that we can, together as partners in the agribusiness value chain, we can be able to mobilize resources to be able to provide money. Because believe you me, I wish our bankers were here. Our bankers have for a long time, depended on the traditional ways of funding agriculture, which has proved not to work. So how do we find innovative ways of providing finance to people, to green shoots as this, to be able to make them develop and advance the agenda of the traditional African vegetable? Think about this. On the 1st of January 2021, the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement took effect, which means we now have a market in Africa that alone we can be able to harness by our own selves before we can even export out of Africa. And so how do we make sure that we can mobilize resources that are going to support the trade that is going to take place around traditional African vegetables if we cannot get finance from other sources? So I think I want to wrap up this discussion, and thank you very much, my team of panelists. You've done so extremely well. And I want to just bring it down to what I've had coming out of the conversations that you've spoken. And number one, the issue around awareness has been mentioned not once, not twice, not by they themselves, but also by the previous speakers that went before. And of course, for us to nurture and for us to be able to grow this enterprise, but also support the young women and youth themselves, we must create more and more awareness on the benefits of traditional African vegetables. And traditional African vegetables does not mean it's only about the nutrition. There are so many things that we can be able to do in the traditional Africa value chain. When we create awareness, we are not only opening new markets, because we are teaching people the new advantages of and ways they can be able to interact with the TAV, but we are also increasing and influencing our producers, the farmers, the women who provide more labor in agriculture to be able to produce and even increase their yield. Once they increase their yield, they are going to earn more money to build their households. Number two, thing that I think I've heard that has come out very clearly, and Erick has mentioned this, he has implored us that are sitting in the audience that let us make things out of the laws or out of the regulations that exists. And so the position of political goodwill cannot be underscored. And that's why I think on this podium, and the reason why I came to stand on this podium was to have a feel of what Daktari and, and former Prime Minister had when they stood from here. And I remember the Prime Minister said that he's living here, yes, mi naondoka. That's what he started with. Mi naondoka, nenda zangu. But what he assured is he will, together with Daktari, work to lobby for that political goodwill. AGRA, of course, I think all of us know AGRA, the Alliance for Green Africa, for Green Revolution in Africa. In their conference, I think 2 years back, somebody said that seed water is important, but not as much as political goodwill. Therefore, for us to anchor the things that we have discussed here, for us to anchor traditional African vegetable, for us to anchor the young people for posterity and the future, post-2045, we must embed these conversations into strategies and into laws that are going to support. And we must get political champions like the former Prime Minister himself. Second last, the issue around, and I think Erick has also mentioned about this, innovative finance. Maybe Caleb Karuga, I had this conversation with you some time back, I remember, when we were doing, and you were the moderator for Kanarava Agribusiness dinner. I was just but a facilitator. What can you make of innovative finance? Maybe in 30 seconds as we bring this to a close.
Yeah, I think banks need to discard the old model of a young person come, I want a logbook as collateral, I want a title deed as collateral. That is no longer working. How many young people have a logbook? Okay, title deed mko nazo? Hamna. Title deed hamna. So if we can probably say, for every bottle of beer sold, shilingi tano, shilingi kumi, we set aside that money to go to a revolving fund to do research and development on the best barley seeds to be planted in that country. What if we said, for every bag, for every seed of traditional vegetables sold, we add just a little bit of 5 shillings or 10 shillings for every bag sold. That money will go to a revolving fund that can now fund more research and development. Or if Erick, who does irrigation, if you come to his company and you want a drip irrigation kit, you go to the bank has a collaboration with Irri-Hub, so you're able to access a loan. The bank will not tell you don't have money, you're a young person, you're a very risky person to loan. There's already a revolving fund that can innovatively fund specifically people in traditional African vegetables. From R&D to funding, you want a loan, you want to increase your shamba, you want to lease more land, you need 50,000 shillings. So we must look at other innovative ways. We forget the tried and tested and not working collateral system. It doesn't work.
Thank you very much. One thing that I've got from what you've said is we must move away from tried, tested, but not. Who had that? Tried, tested, but not working. We must find innovative ways of how we are going to provide facilitation in terms of finance for research. And I think we had some questions that came in just before these presentations, and that was one of the areas that the young people were focusing on, that they don't have access to this kind of resources. So really, as we bring all these voices together, not only to to share our experiences like the young people themselves have shared and or have labored to demonstrate. I think moving forward, this year 2021 is a very special year, like I did say. And I think for me, as we close this, is we must also strengthen the local ecosystems that this particular these particular enterprises come from. And I think I was privy to the inception meeting that took place in Nairobi, and I think they have a very interesting model around the vegetable business networks, because these are going to anchor and provide that support system that is needed for a thriving environment to be able to support the development of traditional African vegetables.